in '93 the first Jurassic Park movie came out. I went and saw that and was just blown away by it. You know, the special effects, these dinosaurs. I always liked dinosaurs as a kid, but they were the big, slow, dumb giants that you saw in the kids' books and on cartoons. And this was showing them as fast and pretty much intelligent and vicious and eating people. What's cooler than that? So I started reading more on dinosaurs and collecting fossils around northern Illinois and becoming a really annoying geek fanboy and calling up famous paleontologists like Bob Bacher, Jack Horner, and the late John Ostrom. And I was speaking to Bob Bacher, and he said, you know, if you want to go on a dig, I'll send you some information. So it was over $1,000 to go on that trip for lodging and food and transportation, but I saved it up. I was about 14, went out there, and just kept going back every year. Hooked up with Berkeley Museum in Rockford. They wanted to do some dinosaur collecting in Montana. Said, you got some experience, you don't want to come with us. So we went out and then we found Jane that summer. And it's just been ever since then. You know, I went to college at Southern Illinois University, got my degree in geology with an emphasis in paleontology. And I'm at NIU working on my doctorate in vertebrate paleontology. So it's, even though the work gets harder, I still feel like the geek fanboy who wants to call up Bob Bacher and say, guess what we found? Going out there, it's great because you start out with the northern Illinois flatlands, pretty much the glaciated areas where all you see in roadcuts is limestone, Ordovician limestone, and carbonates. And then as you go up into Wisconsin and Minnesota, you start to get into some different facies of rocks. And once you get through the boring part of South Dakota and you actually start getting into the western half, you start to see buttes. And by the time we pull into Montana, yeah, this is the West. This is what I imagine, you know, see a tumbleweed, jackrabbit. You see all the black coming out of the hills?
Yeah, what is that?
That's a dark shale. This is, I believe, the Pierce Shale Formation, I believe. Right before the Hell Creek was deposited, this whole area, South Dakota, North Dakota, Montana, parts of Wyoming going up into Canada, was all an interior seaway. It was all under sea. And these are the deposits of it. It represents a time period of the very end of the dinosaurs' reign, the very end of the Cretaceous period, about 67 to 65 million years ago. The Hell Creek rocks are generally mudstones, siltstones, and sandstones. And they're in lenses and interbedded with each other that represents a fluvial environment. So on top of this, as we go up in elevation a little bit more, on top of this we'll be seeing what happens when a sea level drops. You get more wetlands, right, like coasts, and that's what the Hell Creek Formation is. So the rocks in the Hell Creek are predominantly what we call fluvial, meaning that there are a lot of sandstones and mudstones and siltstones that were deposited by channels and rivers that were constantly meandering back and forth. It makes it a very good environment to preserve fossils because you have rapid burial, you have low oxygen, and you have water transporting sediment again rapidly, and that just makes perfect condition for finding fossils and preserving them.
I was pretty surprised at the actual amount of fossils that are out here. And that's pretty cool, just imagining as we're driving even back out of the Hell Creek area and seeing the grass-covered buttes and stuff and just kind of thinking, wow, you know, if you could just scrape away the top layers, my God, what's out here?
This is a really exciting thing for a lot of people the first time they're out there. You gotta realize you find a dinosaur bone, you pick up a chunk of weathered dinosaur bone, you're the first human being to ever see that. You're the first human being to ever touch it, and in some cases, you are the first organism to expose that to our atmosphere in 67 million years. That's kind of cool.
I read Jurassic Park, I saw the movie. It's neat. I've never been like really huge into it, but it's just kind of neat that people go out into just what seems like a barren wasteland and just find like kind of artifacts of what living creatures used to be like.
Usually when I go out there in May because it's a little bit cooler and because we're usually really anxious to get out there, so the first hint of summer we run out to Montana. The problem with that is that's their really only wet month. So we get rained out of the field a lot of time. And since we were on a tight budget and a tight time schedule, I wanted to avoid getting rained out if possible. So I said, let's go out in July. Which, realizing it was going to be hot, but not realizing it was going to be 114. If the weather's good tomorrow, we're going to gas up and we're going to take the, this one's the Bellafouche route, which is not paved, but it's gorgeous. If it rains, we're fucked, but we're not calling for rain until, if ever, anytime this week, so we should be fine with that. It does shave a little bit of time off the trip.
Montana, I knew it was going to be a small town, and well, I didn't really expect much. You know, just maybe a restaurant or a convenience store, which is all here.
People are really nice. The town is a little different than what I'm used to, but it's nice.
It's a very small town of just a couple hundred people. I think the census sign said over around 400, but I'm pretty sure it's less than that. The town is shrinking. The kids turn 18, and instead of taking over the family ranch, they move to Rapid City or Billings and then go to college, which is good for them, but the town is suffering a bit.
The town was almost pretty much what I expected, because I felt like I was kind of out in the middle of nowhere, and I was a little surprised at the friendliness of the people.
I think Burpee Museum's done wonders with that town. They've really been helping it a bit by bringing tourism there. And they've got a little museum, the Carter County Museum, which is an absolute gem of the West.
My kind of town. I like it. It's I could probably live there.
When we arrived in Ekalaka and pulled up to the campground, that was pretty interesting. It was kind of a lot like somebody's backyard with some electrical units. And I was very kind of surprised for out west, because you would think of camping being not somebody's backyard.
I found a campground that would charge, I think, $10 per tent, so per night, which wasn't too bad. And I'd reserved it, and we showed up at this place, and there was nobody there to greet us.
What?
I'm gonna go to the bar.
Well, that's where
see what's happening.
That's
You
where,
have to. It's
yeah.
the only place to go.
Last time I was here and I had a flat tire, someone I could get it fixed, go to the bar. Somebody will fix it. Someone's there that'll help you out.
The one place in Ekalaka where you can always find any information you need is their Living 411, and that is the Old Stamp Bar and Grill. And asked, are there any other places to camp around here? Because it turns out the people that were running the place were out of town that day. So they mentioned Ekalaka Park, which was about 7 miles outside of town, up on top of pretty much a small mountain. And we took the long trek there, and after about 10 minutes of driving, kept asking ourselves if we're going the right way, because very steep cliffs of rocks sliding down, and there's cows everywhere. We're going to Ekalaka Park. It's a little more wilderness-like, and we'll have to figure out something for showers and toilet facilities and things like that. I'm a little annoyed. This is just yet another thing that has happened for this trip that I'm hoping all of this bad karma is getting out of the way before we get out in the field. So when we're out there, all the good stuff will happen. We'll just have plenty of good field work, good field season, find good stuff. And we get to this campsite, and it's just absolutely stunning. It's in the middle of the forest. There are outhouses, so that's a plus. And it was free, so even better. And there was running water there that we found out later was drinkable. We let one of the undergrads drink it for about 3 days, and then he was still alive, so we all decided it's okay. And I spoke to the lady from the previous campground, and she said that we can still use their shower facility. So overall, it worked out really well. We were able to stay for free for 10 days in Ekalaka at a great campsite that I would love to go back to.
It was peaceful. It was nice. I like to camp in this kind of a setting. It's a little remote, set away from the town just a little bit, and it's just I like the place a lot.